The white smoke appeared at the Sistine Chapel today during 12:05 Mass here at St. Louis. So we talked to the priest and parishioners before and after the new Pope stepped out onto the balcony.
I saw a couple people leave the church, and I had no idea what was going on.
Quickly, everyone's attention was on the Vatican as the new Pope was announced.
Dominum Robertum Franciscum, Sancte Romane Ecclesiae, Cardinalem Prevost.
We hope that he brings unity to our church, and that we celebrate that we have a new leader and look forward with hope and optimism. And it's a new day and a new dawn for our church.
Being a missionary, too, he'll have that insight of what it means to, like Francis was always onto evangelization, and I think being a missionary, he too would be seeing evangelization as being something important to spread the word of God throughout the world.
They also reacted to Pope Leo XIV being American-born.
That was, I think, the big surprise, and in that moment almost of silence and awe to realize that we have a Pope that's from the United States, from Chicago.
Nobody ever expected anybody from North America, actually Canada or the United States, to be named Pope. But apparently he's been throughout the world as a missionary. He was the Superior General of the Augustinian Order, and he's been most recently working in Rome as the head of the dicastery for bishops.
So people here say they're hopeful and they look forward to seeing how this new Pope will lead the Catholic Church. On your side in downtown Buffalo, Kelly Dudzik, Channel 2 News.
Well, Scott and Mary Alice, wait till you see this. From when we sat down with Father Paul Sia, longtime chaplain for the Buffalo Fire Department, and Monsignor David Lipuma of Our Lady of Victory Basilica. They both watched with us, perhaps with as much anticipation as those gathered in St. Peter's Square. We had no sooner been discussing the unlikelihood of a pope from the United States when Lester Holt indicated that that would be the case, and a stunned Sia turned to the Monsignor and said, "Did he just say an American?"
There he is. 1955. Wow.
And that's first.
Wow.
He was born a month after me.
Oh my God.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah,
He's-
isn't that something?
Oh my God.
It's just a tremendously exciting thing on the emotional level, but then on a spiritual and also on a practical level, I think the beauty is that he has so much awareness of the universality of the church, even though he's an American, and we're going to take pride in that and maybe expect a little extra attention, perhaps. I don't know.
You know, to me, it's the same feeling that people must have had in Poland when John Paul II was named, that they had their own Polish Pope. And I think it's the same thing for for Pope Francis, that they, a South American, but from Italy, but that they were excited. And I think that's what I feel. I'm just excited.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
I'm excited that it's an American, and I think it's going to be wonderful to see what he does and how he changes the church in the United States. Yeah, I'm moved.
Lost on neither as well the impact an American pope might have on the Catholic Church here in the U.S. in terms of strengthening the faith of its flock here.
Tonight from St. Peter's Square to the Basilica in Lackawanna, the only word that can be used is shock.
I didn't think I would ever see an American pope in my lifetime.
With the Catholic Church entering a new era and for the first time introducing an American pope.
Di Sant'Agostino.
And Robert Francis Prevost of Chicago, now known to the world as Pope Leo XIV.
I was driving and almost pulled over because I was like, wait, American, they were so low on the list of maybes.
I thought it was going to be the priest from the Congo, so that's who I had my money on, so to speak.
Pope Leo set to take on this role with a lot of familiarity with the Vatican already, having spent the last 2 years overseeing the selection of new bishops, but also enters the role with a familiarity of multiple cultures, holding dual citizenship in the United States and Peru, where he spent a number of years as a missionary.
I think Americans were longing for that kind of moral compass.
A background Monsignor Paul Burkhardt feels Catholics here in Buffalo and all across the world will be able to identify with.
We're a very divided church, we're a very divided country, we're a very divided world. Hopefully someone like him will be able to bring people together again.
And that's exactly what Catholics here in Buffalo hope he'll do.
We're hoping that he can understand American politics and the way Americans think.
Praying a new American pope is the answer to bringing so many who have left back to the faith.
One of the things he mentioned in his very early speech on the balcony of St. Peter's was it's important to build bridges. And so I think he's going to be a bridge builder.
With that White House meeting, President Trump has said that the Canadians, he guesses, are coming down to make some kind of deal. Prime Minister Carney being a bit more specific, saying he definitely wants to discuss trade issues and security between the two nations. People in this country definitely are tuned in to what happens with their concern about the relationship between our two countries.
This is a bigger discussion. There are much bigger forces involved, and this will take some time and some discussions, and that's why we're here, to have those discussions.
Regardless of anything, we're going to be friends with Canada.
So we went shopping for the Canadian mindset today, their mood regarding our leadership.
I think it's a lot of feathers and dust. I don't really think, when the bottom line comes, that he's genuine, and I just hope we can work together because we've been together side by side for a hell of a long time.
Is the mood getting any better, or is it about the same?
I think it's the same right now. He's so unpredictable. You don't know what's going to happen. I think everybody's just hoping for a better outcome this time around.
He's alienated an awful lot of Canadians. A lot of our friends have condos in Florida, as we did. We sold. We're out of there.
It's frustrating where I have to look at everything that I buy and make sure that it's not U.S. made. So 90% of the groceries that I buy, well, probably 99% of groceries that I buy are not from the U.S.
I make my money in Canada, I spend it in Canada.
On your side, hearing from the Canadian side, Ron Plants, Channel 2 News.
How they're going to do it, I don't know.
What next? That's the question being asked by many residents inside this senior living facility after Rite Aid announced the closure of all New York State stores in the coming weeks.
But I think over the years that I've been here, it just seems like rumors were circulating. And when I even moved here, I asked, is this store closing? And he said, no. Well, it's been a year, and now it's going to close.
Father Frederick M. Hinton usually makes stops at this Rite Aid with his sidekick right beside him.
I did get my flu shots. I got some COVID shots at the Rite Aid.
Getting vaccines was simple, but now even a short walk to another pharmacy is a major hurdle for many seniors.
In these two buildings with senior citizens, many of whom have walkers, they walk across, and that's impossible to go down the street.
Mark Taylor is the executive director of the Kenmore Housing Authority.
I've been here since November of 2021.
He says several tenants will now have to look for a new place to grab their essentials.
Approximately over 100 tenants would patronize the Rite Aid on Colvin.
But where they may end up,
we've had a lot of calls so far today. We've had a lot of people walk in and ask us about it.
Are local pharmacies like Kenmore RX already preparing to receive Rite Aid customers.
It's good for us to be able to take care of more people, but, obviously unfortunate that pharmacies aren't lasting as long as they should.
Detective Hyde described it like this.
If I have a sexual assault between two children at the school, what the school will do sometimes is they'll call it in and make it information only or juvenile trouble, right? So these things do not elicit an investigation.
He also alleges that a school won't properly label an incident that is reported to them, even if it happened off school grounds, so the district doesn't want the stigma of it happening at a school.
So what we're going to do is we're going to make it information only and then fill it out, case closed. Hey, this person says that they were touched. We don't know no further information, case closed.
And some of the data we've uncovered would seem to support that. Last week, we told you there were more than 17,770 incidents at Buffalo Public Schools between September 2021 and April 29, 2025. 54% of those were labeled as miscellaneous or a vague school other category. We went back and looked at some of the recent incidents at the schools that were high profile enough for the district to send out a press release. The incident on April 1st, where 2 students ingested THC gummies and a teacher was placed on administrative leave, was labeled as school other when police were called. The incident on February 12th, where someone entered the Charles R. Drew Magnet School, approached a child, and allegedly attacked a staff member, also labeled as school other. That also happened at 2 shelter-in-place incidents at McKinley High School and one at Riverside in March 2024 due to fights reported as school other.
Now, the only way that we can find that on BPD is if I search information only at that address, which never happens. Why would I search information only? There's no criminal aspect to it. There's no investigation needed. And that's how they bury it.
Following an approximate 3-month investigation of the district attorney's office, this matter was presented to an Erie County grand jury. An indictment was returned on 5 counts.
Illinois resident Shane Cronin now faces charges including attempted kidnapping and attempting luring of a child. This incident allegedly took place in February of this year. Police responded to an assault by an intruder inside of Drew Magnet School, which is connected to the Buffalo Science Museum. According to the Erie County DA's office, Cronin allegedly approached 2 students in the hallway and attempted to kidnap one of them. The president of the Buffalo Teachers Federation says this incident is sparking conversation on how to better protect students in schools that are connected to public buildings.
When you have that kind of access to a learning facility, then it would be appropriate to have security measures in place to ensure as best you can that only the people who are in that school building have access to that school building. Obviously there's challenges inherent in that, but the responsibility, of course, is to ensure the safety of that learning environment.
According to the Erie County DA's office, one school employee who saw Cronin in the hallway with students directed him to leave. After he was confronted, the defendant allegedly punched the school employee in the face and shoved her to the ground. Cronin allegedly ran out of the building after a school security guard intervened.
But it does go to show you that both among my members and members from other bargaining units who step up to the plate and know what obligation they have and are often unafraid to throw themselves in the middle of these things.
Nigro adds there are other investigations taking place.
The Board of Education met in an executive session and deliberated and determined that they were going to seek out a neutral third party to do this investigation, which is good. Hopefully a neutral third party who has no affiliation with the district, hasn't worked with the district before, somebody who's completely disconnected from the BPS.
So in a statement, a Kenishious spokesperson told me the high school is aware of the video and working to investigate and address the behavior seen Thursday night and into Friday morning of last week. Now, we've blurred out the students' faces because we do not know their ages, and according to Buffalo Police, no one was arrested or charged. But a police spokesperson tells us that officers were told by school security this gathering was sanctioned by Kenishious, but citing multiple noise complaints and disturbances, they eventually shut it down without any issues. The video shows at least 2 students on the roof of the high school and several others shotgunning and drinking in the front parking lot of the school. Now, in a statement from the high school, Kenishious says Kenishious High School is aware of video that is circulated on social media, which includes footage from a senior campout. We've been working to investigate and address our students' behavior during the campout, and we continue to do so. Now, it's not clear what may come of that investigation or how the school is planning to address it with those involved. Again, noting this was a senior campout and graduation is fast approaching.
She was just an amazing, caring person who wanted to help everybody. That's why she became a nurse.
City of Tonawanda police say 30-year-old Chelsea Hacker was behind the wheel Monday night when she was hit from behind by another car driven by a 55-year-old man. The crash happened right here on Twin Cities Memorial Highway and shut down the road for hours. Chelsea was rushed to the hospital but didn't survive. Her loved ones say she was just heading home to make tacos for Cinco de Mayo.
She left work, she went to get us dinner, and she was on her way back home to me.
Thomas Sell and Chelsea had been together since August. He says it was fast, but it was real.
We talked about forever, all the time.
Chelsea's family says she lived with compassion, not just in her career as a nurse, but in everyday life.
If the shift ended at 4, but she wasn't done, she didn't leave until it was done. She had a great laugh and a beautiful smile. I mean, when she smiled, you had to smile with her, no matter if you were mad or not.
She was the one who fixed phones, who played cards with her uncle battling cancer, who lit up holidays, now too painful to face.
I will have no good holiday forever. There'll be no more holidays for me. I just can't. I can't. We loved her so much.
Chelsea's grandmother had been asking for a sign that she was still near, and she found it when she wasn't even expecting it.
And I have a ring that has angel wings that I couldn't find from last year. I thought, I don't know what happened to it. I was dusting my cupboard and there it was. And I thought, okay, Chelsea, great job.
City of Tonawanda police are still investigating. They're asking anyone with information or video of the crash to come forward.
I try to tell myself that she's here with me. She's looking after me. I'm trying to be strong for her, trying to be strong for her family.
Thomas Owens has lived on Orleans Avenue in Niagara Falls for 5 years. But on March 28th,
that's crazy. Right across the street.
Nothing could have prepared him for what police say they found.
It's kind of eerie. You know, somebody was over there. A dead corpse was over there in the basement. And next thing you know, they find bones in there.
Niagara Falls police say human remains were hidden inside this home, boarded up under the basement stairs.
It was chilling, especially being that, you know, I done cleaned up over there in the yard before, not knowing what was over there at the time.
Neighbors say they watched as investigators went in and around the home. They tell us cadaver dogs were brought in.
When the dogs was out here, they wouldn't stop scratching the basement right here. Like, they wouldn't stop.
61-year-old Richard Fox once lived here.
He lived up in the attic part.
Police say Fox, the suspect in connection to 2 cold cases in western New York, is now a person of interest in this case.
A normal, ordinary, working guy. He didn't seem strange or anything. We had short conversations. You would have never knew.
Me to live right next door. I got little sisters. I got a son. My granny, my mom. It's just, I don't like it, to say the least.
Fox is accused of murdering 2 women from Buffalo, Cassandra Watson and Marquita Mull. The remains were found along a hiking trail in Chautauqua County back in 2021. Fox has a history of violent offenses, including convictions for rape. The Erie County Medical Examiner is working to identify the latest remains.
As soon as police broke up pro-Palestinian protests at UB last year, there was disagreement about whose actions were justified.
Those people getting brutalized by the police based on a policy that does not exist.
Police arrested 15 people on May 1st, 2024, and 10 of them are now suing UB and the 10 police departments that responded to the protests.
We have a peaceful group of people who are doing nothing more than, gathering with one another, sharing food, participating in some chants and then some prayer, and then the police to enforce a completely arbitrary, unpublicized, unnecessary 8:23 p.m. curfew to break up this demonstration, then to chase folks all over UB campus, the folks who are in the middle of dispersing.
A UB spokesman declined to comment, citing the pending litigation, but sent us a list of bullet points pointing to various UB policies the school says the protesters violated. The lawsuit alleges false arrest, malicious prosecution, civil rights violations, and multiple breaches of the First Amendment right to protest. It also notes that a judge dismissed the charges against all 10 people who filed suit. One Muslim woman who filed suit was in an academic building and was knocked to the ground by a police officer. She took this video, cited in the lawsuit, showing that police pushed her down and ripped off her hijab. Corp says body camera footage he obtained reveals officers rushing to judgment about the protesters.
Yeah, essentially calling a number of the people who were there terrorists and suggesting that they had IEDs that could have been left in the quad where they were protesting. Very concerning language and stuff that is beyond the pale, honestly.
Days later, a larger group of protesters flooded the UB campus, but Corp says at the original protest, police refused to allow protesters to finish their Muslim sunset prayer before moving in with force.
The Chief Justice of the U.S. Supreme Court is from Hamburg.
I didn't dream about being a judge. I didn't dream about being a lawyer before then. I was going to go to
graduate school to study in history.
John Roberts talked about a speech he gave at his son's 8th grade graduation, emphasizing appreciation.
No matter high and mighty you might think you are, or others might, that there are other people that are doing things that are just as vital to the functioning of our world.
I think most judges would agree that judicial independence is crucial. Do you agree?
In our Constitution, judges and the judiciary is a co-equal branch of government, separate from the others, with the authority to interpret the Constitution as law and strike down, obviously, acts of Congress or acts of the president. And that innovation doesn't work if it's not, the judiciary is not independent. Its job is to obviously decide cases, but in the course of that, check the excesses of Congress or of the executive, and that does require a degree of independence.
On impeaching judges,
impeachment is not how you register disagreement with decisions.
That's what you're for, right? That's what you're there for.
That's what we're there for.
And retirement.
I mean, you're too young now, but someday, would you?
No.
He's 70 years old.
If you recognize that you're a burden to the court rather than part of an assist to everybody, then, it'll be time to go.
A student here at Amherst Central High School is under investigation for allegedly using an AI program called FlowGPT to create dozens of chatbots. Parents tell Two on Your Side the bots included names and images of classmates, teachers, and parents, some even altered in suggestive ways. Victims span both the middle school and high schools. The district says it acted immediately, identifying the student, launching an investigation, and contacting police. Some who specializes in cyberbullying says as it becomes more common, parents need to stay engaged and talk to their kids.
So for parents, we really advocate for having open and ongoing conversations and communication from a very early age about digital media use, digital safety, what sort of things, what are we doing online and how does it impact others? The more we can use AI with them, have conversations about the ethics, right, around using AI, so that when they go to use it themselves, they have a better understanding of how complex it is, how nuanced it can be. They know some of the negatives, right? They know the positives.
Dr. Stephanie Frederick says new AI tools can be misused by kids, sometimes to cyberbully and boost social status. That's why she urges parents to treat online safety like any other safety talk.
Lock your doors behind you. Look both ways before you cross your street. Let's also talk about online safety and the internet, and passwords and things like that. And then having that conversation continue with them throughout the grade levels.